Welcome, everyone. Anna and I just got back from Ecuador. We were there for Platinum Retreat, which is amazing because they fly you and an extra person of your choosing. We chose our husbands. That was nice of us to go to Ecuador with us to get a taste of what the Young Living Academy is about and to go see the Finca farm, which is our largest farm. It's huge. You can even see the end to ends of it. So we were going to share a little bit about our journey, our trip, what we learned, share some videos and pictures with you. And with that, Anna, I'm going to hand it to you.
Thanks, Ellie. Hey, everybody. I feel like there's so much that I want to share with you guys. I almost don't even know where to begin, but it was my first retreat ever that I've attended because last year we couldn't attend any. And then this year I was going to kind of go to everything, but we couldn't attend the ones in the US. So I don't know what it's like when you attend the silver or the gold retreat, but I can tell you to kick it off with this is just, it blew me away. And it was such a huge privilege for me actually to be able to take my husband along because it was so amazing. You know, he's always supported me, and he, with a little bit of tongue in cheek from the beginning, has actually fallen in love pretty much with the oils too. But I don't think he ever got my vision of how amazing Young Living is, because when I went to the convention 2 years ago, where I got a bit of a picture of it, he wasn't with me. And I think that was one of the biggest benefits for me, is being able to take him along and just seeing how he just absolutely fell in love with everything that Young Living stands for. And I mean, he was voor in die koor. For the Americans, it means he was like the first one in line to just, you know, participate and experience things. And it was absolutely amazing. And it's things we know, but to just be there and experience what Young Living stands for and what we actually have chosen to become a part of, it was very, very special for me. So I hope that with what we share tonight, we can try and bring a little bit of that across for you guys, and that you can vicariously experience it too through our storytelling. So Ellie, I don't know where you want to, maybe we can give a bit of background just before we jump over the video, because Ellie and I did put together for you guys a bit of a video, because we thought we obviously have, between the two of us, thousands of photos and video clips, and we would end up being on the Zoom the entire night. So we just kind of consolidated into a little bit of a movie clip for you, which will show you, and then you can see a little bit of actually the farming practices. And then I think let's watch that, and then from there you guys can ask us the questions that you have specifically around things, and we can fill in the gaps, because it's very difficult to put 2 solid days of what we saw into a 10-minute clip. But I think, you know, just for me, if I can summarize what I experienced, it is how big Young Living is. I don't just mean as a company, but how big the movement is that Young Living stands for. It is so much more than we can really understand. I think, you know, we all begin with, oh my word, these little oils are amazing. This is like a little miracle bottle, and this is changing people's health. But it is way beyond that. And when you see what's happening on the farms, and the love and the focus that goes into creating a better planet that we leave behind something better than we found for future generations. I think there's so little in our self-centered world, there's so little thought about that. And that is absolutely everything that Young Living does, is thinking about how do we make the planet better? How do we make people better? The values that this company stands for. We saw a lot of it when we went to the Young Living Academy, which we'll show you guys. But, you know, it's really about creating like a like-minded community of people who are the leaders of the world, who become the leaders of the world. And I'm not talking about presidents and political leaders so much. I mean, becoming a leader in the person who you are and the influence you have on the people around you, because that is where our influence begins, right? You don't have to be the president of the US to have an influence on other people. It's about what you start doing in your communities. And what I loved the most was meeting so many people who think like I do and like you do, and who have the same values and the same priorities as us. So for me, that was something that was really, really amazing. And just realizing that the purpose of what we're doing is so stunning. And I think I want to chat to you guys a little bit, because I'm sure that as we're going through this, a lot of you that aren't platinum yet might be thinking, I really want to experience this to how do I go about it? Where do I begin? I learned so much. There were so many amazing people there who just poured advice and tips and information. And so I'll share, I made some notes of the main take-home messages that I've taken from there, which I'll share with you guys. But I think let's first kick out Ali. What do you think? And chat a bit about the farm and everything that they do on the farm and what we saw. So let's maybe show you guys what we prepared, and then we'll fill it in and you guys ask us some questions.
Do you want to, maybe I can prep for a second, like some of the things that we're going to see in the video that are not fully explained in the video, because we got lots of explanation, but we would be here all day. But it's a massive farm. Ylang ylang is one of the biggest products, so or oils or plants that's grown there from a square acreage standpoint. It takes quite a bit of space. And you'll see some things and you'll hear some clips and snips about Ylang ylang. Also Palo Santo, which I don't think we fully explained in the video, but Palo Santo, actually that tree has about somewhere between a 40 and 90-year lifespan, and we cannot distill that oil until the tree dies naturally. So there's no speeding the process up there. The tree has to be dead on its own for us to distill it. So it's a very, very special oil. So you'll see that tree reference there. You'll also see that there is some brick making happening. It's quite noisy in that video, so that's a little explanation there. But those bricks are used to build the homes of the workers for the farm for them. And they are self-insulated just based on how the bricks work. So they had, they had built a little structure with it. And when I walked in, it was, easily 10 degrees cooler than the ambient air outside, even with the door open to that structure. So that's pretty cool. That's something special that Young Living does for, just talking about the impact on the community, just the workers that work on the land. Anything else you want to mention before we play the video, Anna?
I know, I think let's go ahead and then we can. Okay, I've got a lot that I want to say, but it will make more sense after they've seen the video, I think.
Okay, bear with me 1 second. I always share that. Can I see that okay? Do you see it, Anna? Okay.
Like I'm telling you too much of the tour before we start, but
oh, you're gonna say this on the tour?
that's okay. And then we use all cover crops here as well.
So what are your cover crops you use?
We started using a lot of legumes, but we really found that it was better to use the native grasses here, because then you bring something in, maybe you have something beneficial, but you don't know the negative side, bring in something that's not from here. So we just started using all the native grasses. Oh, wow.
So that just keeps you watering less.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
do you have to do anything to maintain those native grasses?
We mow them down, and we also run the goats through there as well.
You use goats here too.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Awesome.
This is where we really started the goats. We have
They eat it.
150 goats right now.
So they don't like
They
the
eat
land.
it and take it down.
Yeah, they'll go first for the grasses, and then you have to move them all the time, or eventually they'll eat that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's
And
not
so
good.
you were explaining that because I wasn't videoing, but you built ponds, so you have reservoirs of water in case you don't have enough rain. And then as needed, you pump it through these little micro sprinklers that go to each tree.
Yeah, exactly. So
Okay.
we'll pump that through these little micro sprinklers, and each tree, we started with drip irrigation, but the ylang ylangs love to drink water, so it wasn't enough for them.
Mm,
So then we converted to the micro sprinklers.
just always
Wow.
improving.
Every
Yep.
tree.
Plant.
has-
Every tree. And then if we need to use any liquid fertilizer or worm casting liquid,
Yeah.
we can inject it into the irrigation system.
What's a worm casting liquid?
Poop, worm poop.
Worm pea.
Oh,
It's pea?
Concentrated. Well, it's a combination because we irrigate it every day, and you'll see that later. So it's all of that concentrated liquid.
So I was gonna ask you if you have make your own worm castings here with your own worms.
We have the nicest worm house, I think, probably in all of South America, maybe the world.
Amazing.
They use the manure for the fertilizer, and you'll see how that process is more than just spreading out the goat pellets on the fields in the next step. But they also milk the goats, get the goat's milk and the goat's cheese to the school, the academy.
Wow. So cool.
But yeah, these are the goats.
So this is the young living ylang-ylang is distilled in this smaller pepper than like a wood with. So after the seed is coming up, and it adds the oil to the channels of gas, and it goes out and here and then it with the water, and then this water and the oil will come down into this container, and the oil is heavier than the water. So when the water stops coming out, the oil will come into this container, and then the valve is turned, and the flow water is left throughout the station will be collected in this container.
That time, there was no one. So from here, the closest thing you could see was this.
Can everyone see the video? Andre says yes. Okay.
On my side, it's getting stuck and the sound's getting stuck, but it might be my Wi-Fi. If everybody else is okay, then let's carry on.
City and some shrimp farms in the distance. Transplant all of the Palo Santo trees and move them up here. But this is where it all began here. And this tree died, as you can see, but then it was resurrected. It's still alive. It rerooted.
It first gets broken up into this side, and then it's actually put into little, almost like a powder like this, and then this is what goes into the distiller to actually get the oil out.
We collect them. When we see them like this, of course, this is a beautiful color, almost red. We open and this is the fruit. And this fruit goes for drying like around 3 days, fermenting. If you guys want to try some, this is so, actually, you know what? This is my favorite fruit.
Really? So this is an actual fruit to eat?
Oh, good Lord.
Yes. So just how is that? Just feeling the
A
flavor.
little bit bitter.
Bitter, very aromatic.
Mhm.
That's crazy. So it's a very special one because you have to dry it. Well, my grandma dries it in the sun. Gary prefers in the shadows. Anyways, you have to have kind of a complementary crop that helps with the shadows because it didn't like the complete sun. So that's the reason why sometimes we put some plantains in the middle so it has kind of a shadow, the kind of refuge. So after those 3 days that I already told you guys, it is drying. I think this is the first day, this is second day, and this is the third day. And then when you have this beauty, you toast it. And when you toast it, it so dry the skin, and then you do this, give some air or something. That's my grandma how she did. And take out the bean here, which is from inside. So this is, and as you can see, here is a chocolate. This is the nibs that you sometimes like, oh, the nibs. And then this, you crush it or something, and you create a paste. And then this paste, when dries, is as hard as this is. And then you take in a cheese something, then you get a little something like a powder, and then you do the chocolate. There's nothing like that, believe me. So one day that you guys will have the opportunity to having that, just trying to do the process and smash by yourself and put it with water and then a little milk, and then try a chocolate and mix by yourself. It's nothing like that. Very special part that we have here, because that orange part is an experimentation here right now. So the objective is bring back Aztec gold or Rosa de Muerto. I don't know if everyone is familiar with that, but we want to bring it back to you. Brilliant patch over there. Yes. Yeah, that is one of our most difficult or challenging things is oregano. So oregano is, if you touch it, it's kind of a succulent. It's very squishy or watery, and that's one of the challenge. But we're doing well with that.
So what do you want to share next?
So maybe, I don't know how you guys, the video was terrible on my side. I don't know if it's just my Wi-Fi, but I'll just fill in a few things for you guys. We'll share the YouTube link with you in all the groups, and you can watch it again and hopefully see and hear a bit more clearly. But there was a couple of things that we tried to share with clips that for me was very special. The one thing was, I don't know if you could hear the silence when we were standing in the Palo Santo forest, but Palo Santo is a tree. It's very similar in many ways with frankincense. It's used for a lot of spiritual and religious rituals. And you just feel this family living in Ecuador and was starting the farm. They spent their Sunday mornings actually up in the forest praying and reading their Bible and having their own quiet time. And as development started to happen in the area and these trees were getting chopped down, Young Living actually went and pulled out all those trees and replanted them on the farm into that forest. And even now they are planting about 3 or 4 times more trees than what they ever harvest or what they distill. So just that whole thing about reforesting the area, which I thought was stunning. And I don't know if you saw that little video that I was showing you guys, how they first cut the pieces off of this dead tree, then they cut smaller slivers, and eventually it's quite a thin powder before they actually then distill it. And nothing is wasted. Even what we didn't capture here was the wormhouse, the amazing wormhouse, because at that point I just wasn't making videos anymore. But what they then do is, once they finish distilling, that leftover material from the distiller gets taken, it gets mixed with the goat poo. They drive water through it. That water gets caught and re-driven in. It then gets thrown into these big long cylinder containers in the worm house. They then put the worms on, and the worms stay in for a certain amount of time where they are eating through it and then peeing and pooping out or whatever, and basically creating a fertilizer. And what was interesting was it doesn't smell at all. You know, normally on a farm, when you get to the compost, it just absolutely stinks like crazy. There is no smell. You can stand with that compost like this and you can't smell anything. Very interesting. It makes me wonder about when you really aren't using any chemicals, how everything should actually be smelling. And then when it's ready, they throw some food on the top so that the worms come up, they scoop them off, they move them to the next barrel. And then the little things can actually just drive in loaded. And then the guy with the green shirt and the cowboy hat, he's the global farm manager, but he started his career as the farm manager for Finca Botanica, and how he also explained that even for the ground cover, they're using natural grass from the area and not trying to introduce other plant matter which could affect the natural benefit of what the plant should be like. And in the greenhouse where you saw all the different plants, like the vetiver that's there, for example, that vetiver on that farm is not to harvest. It's one of the plants that they use because it's a natural deterrent to one of the pests that attacks something else. So they're planting it in their field. So they're absolutely using nature. And what they're also growing in that greenhouse is a whole bunch of natural plants from the area that have kind of started just going lost as people, you know, wider than the farm are just chopping out everything. And they are busy planting and developing those to plant it back, to just bring all the natural fauna and flora of the area back. So for me, that was amazing. And how water is reused and reused. And by the time that water is irrigated back onto the plants, it is such rich water and you're not wasting a drop. Because it's been through the distillation process. Even with the ylang-ylang, it was breaking up a lot for me, but Ali did that clip where they showed you the distillation, the oil and the water, and then because the oil is heavier than the water comes into one container and the oil into another. That beautiful floral water then goes off to the Nova Vita spa, where they use it for a therapeutic treatment, where people lie in that beautiful floral water jacuzzi bath, which has got, again, therapeutic value. So it really, for me, is just the way that everything is done so naturally. And what was also came across was at one point there was, in the Palo Santo tree, there was some weed that grows on it. They don't try to kill those weeds because Nadia was explaining that Gary Young always said nothing is bad. Everything has a place and a role to play. If in nature those weeds are naturally growing there, then they have some kind of purpose. So it's not for us to just try and get rid of it. It's rather for us to understand their role and allow nature to happen the way it's meant to. So I think in terms of the processes, those are the things for me that really, really stood out. And I don't know what for you was the most sort of.
Yeah, I think you hit so many different pieces that I have thought about through the years. I feel like I've heard so much about this farm, and just to see it in person. And I guess for me, because I have been to several of the farms, although this was my first time to go to the Finca farm, my husband had never been to any of our farms. So it was really interesting and fun for me to hear how he processed the information through his head as someone that was new to the way that we do everything. And he said several times, there is just no waste ever. And things are always being improved upon, which I think is a huge testament for Young Living, and also makes you realize how wasteful you are at home. Like, we just wash our hands and the water goes nowhere, right? What are we doing with this water? So you just think about all the things. And at the academy, you know, we signed up to put containers together, which we thought were like boxes that were already pre-made that we just like folded and put together. And oh no, we were pulling old wood apart, nails out of it, nailing it back together, sawing, painting, the whole thing. And everything was something that had been used in a different method. And ironically, the containers that we were building, not only was everything reused, but it was what the containers that we were building were for recycling. So that's what the containers were going to be used for. So it just goes to show you just every single piece. So do we want to tell me what you want to do next, Anna? Should we show the other video or about the academy, or what do you think?
Do you guys have anything that you want to ask us before we start talking about the academy? Does anybody have a question?
Feel free to unmute. You don't have to type.
Well, let's chat on. Unri, do you want to ask something? maybe let's chat on a bit about the academy, but drop your questions in the message or unmute, like Ali said, if you want to ask us as we're going along. The academy, we have another video. I don't know how the sound is for the rest of you. For the quality that was for me playing it over Zoom, I don't think there's any point in playing the other video. I think we must just send it to you guys to have a look. But one in that video that we've got of the academy, all the different age groups of kids of the school were representing something that the school does. And what I loved was that the little grade 1s and 2s actually gave us the history of the school. And they do it in such a cute way. These two little kids had actually dressed up as Gary and Mary Young, and they were like telling it in their words. It was super cute. But the background is that when they had started the farm there, it was very difficult. It was, not their own country. There were many problems. One of the other Young Living staff, I don't remember his position, was telling his story where at one point they were having so many issues with theft, and people were literally coming with camels at night with bags, hiding through the trees, avoiding the roads where the security is, and then like tapping out their fuel tanks on the farm and getting back out and paying off a security guard. And at one stage, this guy had said to Gary, you have so many problems on this farm. Why not just up and do it somewhere else? And he just said, because he has this calling that this is what he needs to do, and he's going to make it work. He's not going to give up. And I love that. I think that mindset is so much up what we all strive towards, achieving as well. But in that time when they were starting, he was driving every day onto the farm, and he would pass this tiny little school, this like falling apart building. They weren't really teachers. The kids were sitting around, and they weren't actually getting any education. Very, very, very poor area. The parents couldn't afford to send them anywhere past sort of walking distance from home to one of the, slightly bigger areas for better schools. And he just looked at him and he said, I can't build this farm here and not do something about it. And he built the first little school there. And the first few kids started. And then that was actually the beginning of the Young Living Foundation, which I'm sure you guys have read about before, but you can go look at younglivingfoundation.org if you want to read more. It's absolutely amazing. And Ali can tell you a bit more about the donations that you can make. But it has developed and developed. And so some of the first kids actually already graduated. It eventually grew into a high school as well. The first kids already started graduating in 2016. And then they just showed us this video with all these photos of these kids who've graduated since 2016 and what they're doing. And they're like 3 or 4 doing medicine. There's about 20 of them studying engineering, studying journalism, studying computer sciences, all sorts of interesting things. And these kids, it's a life change. This is a child who comes out of complete poverty, who never even would have had any education, who's now, these kids are at universities. But what I also loved about it is they aren't just teaching the children academics. They're teaching them how to plant. They grow their own vegetables on the school premises. The kids get a fully healthy organic meal every day. For many of them, that's the only meal they eat every day because there's no food at home. They're being taught leadership skills, critical thinking. They really are just, they've got massive projects where they go into their own towns and they organize recycling, and then they sell that recycling. You get money when you've collected recycling, and that money they donate to children with cancer. And so just that awareness, even for these kids who aren't coming from masses of money, are already learning the principle of give back and serve. And I think it's so beautiful what has been created there. And these kids are so loving, and they're just so grateful for there's nothing that's expected, but then also no wrong behavior is tolerated at that school. The kids, they don't cheat, they don't steal, they don't lie, they don't swear, they learn the right things from the beginning. They're being taught English, they've got a cheerleading squad, they've got sports teams. I mean, it's just to give these little children this amazing opportunity and change the future, because and that was the thing that stood out for me, is it's not changing one life or one family, it's changing a community. Because in the end, these children are taking a completely different path in life than what they would have had the opportunity of. And that whole community is being uplifted. And as a strong community, it starts to uplift communities around it. And that is what we see with Young Living. And as the foundation has developed, because now that school's only a small part of the foundation, there's all the projects about rescuing children from child trafficking and, giving them the treatment that they need and helping them to get back into normal life. And there's so many other things. Ellie, you've seen more about the foundation than me over the years, and maybe you want to share your amazing experience with the kids at the school that you can do.
Sure. Yes. So the foundation is based on 3 different, I think it's the E's, right? Ending trafficking, education, and enterprise. And the enterprise is focused on specifically on women. So giving them money for their enterprise, not just giving them money. So something that's sustainable that they can, pay forward. One other thing that Anna didn't mention that was in my mind is that the kids also run a local library that the locals can check out books. So as the donations come in for books, a lot of these people are illiterate, and so it helps them actually learn how to read. So these children, I don't even know how many years. Do you remember how many years the Academy's been open now since Gary opened it?
It must be at least, I think, about from 2003 or 4, because the first kids graduated high school in 2016.
Yes, I think that's right. So just so you guys know, you can sponsor a child. So this is who we're sponsoring, Matthias Mite, and he is, look at him, he is so cute. But he was one of the kids that I saw, and when I went to go pick a kid, it was like he was right in front of me. Ironically, I look back and he looks so much like my son. But these kids are just precious. And just as an example, so I was leaving my hammering duty of putting the containers together to go to the restroom real fast. And I ran into this woman who was there visiting, who was not on Platinum Retreat. She's another diamond that she's in the US. And so we started talking, and this little girl walked by us and she just looked up at me, and I said, "Do you want a hug?" And she hugged me. And then we're still chatting, and she came by again and she hugged me again. And then she walked by again and she hugged me again. It was just like so sweet. They just were so grateful and so sweet and so loving. I mean, a happy child, just that is the sign of a happy child. Like it was so clear what an impact the school had been on these children. So that was just amazing. And other things about the children in the foundation. Yeah, so we just so you know what the foundation does is they don't do everything on their own. Like, for instance, this academy is fully run by the Young Living Foundation, but that's a huge undertaking, right? That takes quite a bit of effort and staff, et cetera. So Young Living, for a lot of the other things that they do, is they partner with organizations that they vet to make sure that they meet those 3 E criteria, and that they are a good organization that they can trust, right? And then their other thing is that there now is a program, and I'm blanking on the name of the program, where you can sign up if there's an organization that you work with locally that you trust and that you love. There you can actually sign up to partner with Young Living, and they will match every donation that comes in for that organization, so that they really want to foster the community work that Young Living members and leaders are already doing in the community. So that's fantastic. And yes, there are definitely chances, Andy, of Young Living doing things in South Africa. I've actually been talking to one of our members who already is doing something in South Africa that is aligned with the foundation, but I'm just waiting on her to fill out the paperwork to get it done. So it's just a matter of, doing the work. But if you have something, please read. Do you know that you have to have a platinum or above Young Living leader that is a co-sponsor if you're not a platinum or above yet. So reach out to your platinum or myself if there's something that you really want to work on. So it's amazing all the things that are done. Do you want to maybe we just share 1 or 2 of the little videos from, or do you want to do your compilation? Is quite a bit longer.
It's up to you guys. I don't know how many of you have seen that video. We put it together while we were still in Ecuador. We can play that or something else, whatever you think, Ellie.
I can't remember how long it is.
It's about 10 minutes as well. Might maybe a bit long.
Yeah.
But we can send it to you guys, because it's really, it's amazing to see the kids also explain the and the computers in their computer room. And it really is all thanks to support and sponsors from Young Living and from Young Living members. And so I think it's very amazing.
Yeah, it says, I guess they're saying that the videos don't come across very well when we play them on Zoom. So we'll send that video out to you. I was just gonna look and see if there was some photos maybe that I could share real fast, so you can just get an idea of what the Academy looks like. It's really quite beautiful. I'm going in the wrong direction here on the photos here. By the way, we got some really nice gifts when we got there too. It's just, I just was looking at those pictures. It's a side benefit of all these retreats is you just definitely get spoiled. Okay, so let me just quickly go through. I'll share my screen and just kind of flip through some of the pictures so you can get a visual idea of what. So this is the sign as you're coming into the Academy. That's the main building of the Academy. And then they had these little stations set up for just for our visit, where the kids were really just kind of showing exactly what they do at school, or they were performing to tell us about, you know, something about the Academy. So this is their living lab, and they were showing us, you know, obviously they do a lot of plant study at the Academy. Oh, that didn't come out very well. These are some of the local flora and fauna that they were documenting. This is the principal who was hired, I think last year. These were these children that they were performing for us. They were adorable, so cute, and obviously in like the local clothing, right? With what they wear in Ecuador. They were really adorable. This is the Academy manager, and she was hired by Gary in her early 20s. It's just Gary had a very had a knack for reading if someone was. He could read people pretty well. So he just loved her, and she's been with the Academy since the beginning. There's Mary there with Colby, who's head of our marketing group. And just so you know, the school does not want to mask the children. That is a requirement by the government. So it's not their choice, and it's not what they want for the children, just FYI. That is a hot button for me. So this is one of the teachers on the right who came up as a student and now is a teacher at the school and is now getting her master's degree in education while she's schooling. This was a performance that the cheerleaders did, and they came around this little guy here. So here's the cheerleaders performing. A couple of the little kiddos are so cute. This was really cute. This was the skit that they put together. This was supposed to, he's Gary Young, this little boy. And this little girl's playing Mary Young with her hair. This is the principals, and then this is a little music performance that they're putting together. So they're getting all of the cultural pieces. So they're getting music and arts and sports and all the things. This is a game that they had us playing. They came up with a game where we had to spin a wheel, and that gave us which citrus fruit, and then we had to pass the citrus fruit into the bucket. It was really cute. There's Anna getting decorated. They were so cute. It's my hubs. Just the plant life is just phenomenal. I mean, I just had to take a picture of this tree because it was so pretty.
Yeah, they called that Gary's tree. They said it was his favorite tree.
But this one, really, I didn't know that. I just happened to take a picture of it because I thought it was so cool.
I don't know if you noticed, but the bedding around it was shaped like a heart as well.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't see that. This was the containers that I was talking about. So this is my husband, who is not very good at manual labor, who was put to the task, which was good for him. Sissy here, who is very pregnant, still building. Our hammers. And this was the cacao. So this was the next part as we moved into the farm day. I did not know that cacao grew from the trunk of the tree. I thought that was quite interesting.
What's also amazing is that they just recently have bought that cacao plantation next to where the foundation is based, and they are now looking at building a university as well. So it's just, this academy is really just going from strength to strength, which was absolutely amazing to see.
Yes, that is really cool. Okay, what other things? I can't believe no one has any questions.
Well, maybe I sat and I thought a bit about just, you know, what some of the really helpful stuff that I learned from the people who were there, that I thought I wanted to share with you guys. So if you're happy, I'll move on to that. I mean, the thing that I can overwhelmingly say after experiencing this is that, in Richard Brooks's words, the work is worth it. I remember last year there was a girl in my team who was on her 3rd month, that she would had to make silver to qualify for the retreat, and she said to me she would have had to hustle very hard to make that 3rd month, and she was like, oh, is it really worth it? And I didn't know, because I hadn't been to retreats. I was like, I don't know, I would, but you know, it's up to you. And now that I've experienced it, I'm like, oh, had I known then what I know now, I wouldn't have said it's up to you. I would have said, yes, you have to do it, because it is the most phenomenal experience. You need to do this and experience it. And of course, these things don't land in our laps. It's hard work to get there, but it really is absolutely worth every moment. When you get there and you realize what you've become a part of, then you know that it just reinforces everything that, you know, sometimes I think we tend to get caught in all our struggles of trying to build our business every day. And when you get there, you're like, oh my word, every blood and sweat and tear I've shed to get here has been worth it. And if I just look at how much value I got from the snippet chats I would have with people on a bus, over a lunch, standing, having a cup of tea together. If I can give you guys advice building up to that point, is listen to as many calls as you can. Honestly, every time you listen to these, Richard Brooke, basically, I think every week or 2 weeks interviews one of the diamonds in Young Living. I'll type it in the chat now. It's road2diamond with a number 2.com. Go to that website, and in your free time or every night before bed, just listen to those talks. The more you listen to people, the more you start to get the vision of what's possible, the more you see all the different kind of people that have done it successfully, and you start to realize it's not a specific type of person. You can do it. It's not limited that only people with this background or that kind of education can do it. It's a complete fruit salad of people. So that could be my other advice, is to really go and watch as many calls, and we need to grow as people through this business. And I think for me, that was the biggest thing why I wanted to go to this retreat, because I knew that I was at a point where I needed new input, and we have to develop as people the whole time. You can't be who you are now and be at the head of a platinum or a diamond team. Every rank you're going to develop new skills and change your mindset and the way that you approach problems and get over hurdles. And so it's important to enrich yourself with that information. The other thing that came across very strongly from everybody is you need to teach classes. It doesn't help you do all the most beautiful, whatever else you can think of doing. It's important to support your team, but the support's there. We all have tons of support around us. Just plug people in and put your energy into introducing people, hosting classes, helping the people in your team host classes. And also, there were a couple of girls there who'd, from qualifying for the Platinum Retreat, ranked up to Diamond. And I was chatting to them and asking them for tips. And the thing that comes across strongly that all of them say is, get over your fear about talking about the business and talking about money. People are scared that it's going to seem tacky or salesy, and so they shy away from that. Don't. One of the Mexican girls said it so well, that she said, people want physical health, they want emotional and mental health, and they want financial health. All three goes together. Nobody wants to have amazing physical and mental health and then not have financial health. Why would you ignore that part of what we can? It's part of our offering from Young Living. So talk about it from the beginning and talk about it often, and make sure people know, because most people, I think, don't understand what they're sitting on and what the opportunity for them is. And so don't be afraid. And one quote that you'll always hear when you speak to Young Living people is that money in the hands of good people does good things. We tend to think, oh, you know, it's somehow evil when we talk about money, which is absolutely, I don't know where it comes from, but don't let that stop you. Talk about it, give people those opportunities, show them, help them see the vision for how their life can change through the opportunity. And the other thing that was also very interesting that one of the girls shared was that, you know, it must be the culture of what we create. We tend to talk very practically in terms of, oh, you know, sign people up, get them on ER, teach them to share. That's always what we teach. But she just said that in her team, the culture is not that you're going to sign up here and buy something and then you're a Young Living member. You sign up for 3 months. You off the bat create the expectation with new people that they are signing on to a 3-month commitment to their health, to see if they really want to experience what this is. They need to try some oils, they need to try some supplements, they need to try some cleaning things. And if you can do that, you're also, by the time you've had somebody experience 3 different orders of these different types of products, they're going to have seen enough that they'll want to stay and they'll want to keep ordering. But it's our job to help them get to that point. So shy away from just convincing somebody to buy a thing. From the beginning, set the expectation for them. This is at least a 3-month commitment that you are making to your health if you want to really experience the benefits of everything that we have to offer. And then my last thing really is just, it really is little bits every day. You need to do something every day, and very quickly those small things create something big. So I don't know, Ali, if there's anything else specific that I'm not mentioning that stood out for you maybe, but that was, those things that I've mentioned now are the things that, when, if I can summarize all the different people I spoke to and all the different messages, those things come up over and over and over again from all the different people who've been really successful in changing lives and changing their own lives. So that is what I bring back to you, the wisdom I gained while I was there.
I totally agree with you. One thing I will say that I think I just want to toot our own horns just a little bit is that I think that our team supports people from a health perspective better than so many that I've seen. I sat next to this woman who, they don't even teach about how to use the oils for health. They just talk about how to detox your home. So I think that, listen, detoxing your home is key, right? That's super, super important. But when we just have had so many just massive health success stories on our team. So I was really kind of proud of what she was shocked that we talk about the things that we talk about. And I think that that is kind of sad, because that was really Gary's vision, is to really give people hope for so many health reasons that they have in their life. And that is, I see our team replicating all of that. I was very lucky to have spent such time with him to catch that vision from him at the very beginning of Young Living for me. So that's really stuck. And I love seeing it as I'm a voyeur in all of your chat groups, reading all of your chats. Everyone is helping others. And that is what Gary wanted and Mary wanted, is just, we are fundamentally changing the health of people forever. So yes, I think you did a really good job, Anna, of touching on everything else, but that was it was sticking in my mind quite a bit. So I hope you guys got value out of this, and I hope everyone is eager to get to one of the Young Living farms. So hopefully Silver Retreat will be happening for those of you overseas next year. I know it will be happening for the US members. I feel confident. I'm speaking life. It will be happening for everyone in the globe. Everyone will be able to come. So, we want to help you get there, and we want to help you get there by helping others with their health and their financial health.
And everybody still has until April next year to qualify for Silver Retreat if you haven't yet. So even somebody who literally got their account today, it's enough time. You can do it if you really, really put your mind to it and work hard and do the work. So go for it, guys. Hope to see you all there next year.